All right, it's time for the December haul or wrap up or whatever you want to call this as far as vinyl records go. Went a little overboard in December. There were deals to be had, there were gifts that I was given, there were stressors that I alleviated through retail therapy, whether for better or for worse. There was challenges at home that were ultimately good things, but just a lot going on, as December typically does. I've got 18 records to talk to you about, so let's dive in. The first one is Nora Jones' "I Dream of Christmas," the deluxe edition. This is on red vinyl. It's a double LP. Now I already had this album, but just the regular edition, which is a single LP. But I am just a huge Nora Jones fan. I've been thinking about switching out for the deluxe edition for a while. She does "Oh Holy Night," which I really really love. There was some live songs on here that I love listening to her perform live. And ultimately, I was like, I need the extra Nora Jones, and it gave me an opportunity to give the original copy to my mom, who also collects, who also loves Nora Jones. So I'm very thankful for that. It is, like I said, red vinyl, double LP. This actually came like the day after I did the November haul, so it was very quickly then. Then this is one I had debated and I'd gone back and forth on, and ultimately I decided to go with. This is Mondo's Home Alone soundtrack. Now this is on. I think it's. Let me make sure it's just green vinyl. The first. Nope. It's red and green vinyl. And I'll tell you, as beautiful as those pressings are, Mondo does soundtracks so right, and I'm probably going to have to put this back a different way. But I want to show you, this is worth showing you in the packaging a little bit. So Mondo typically has their, sort of Mondo Obi strip. Um, and so I'm going to take that off. But this packaging, I don't know if you can tell, but the windows are actually cutouts. So is the door. The windows near the door. So, and you have this insert in here. There's actually two of them where you can take it out. Sorry, you can take it out. You can switch it around and make it black, like dark. You can put the other one in, which has, you can see that there are shadows from like the things that Kevin had in the window when the thieves came to the house. So you can actually switch out what shadows you see there by switching out which album is where, which I think is just a really, really fun option. You can see also on the back of the Obi strip, you have like the statue that gets knocked over all the time. So there's a lot of thoughtfulness on this album. If you're a big Home Alone fan, which it's one of the funny Christmas movies that we most love to watch. I think probably our two favorite Christmas comedies, like many other people, are going to be Elf and Home Alone. Can't seem to get this back on right now. Might have to go the long way. Anyway, if you're a big fan of those, then this is definitely an album that you want to pick up. It's just done so well. Mondo typically does such a great job. But this is the Home Alone soundtrack. I don't know if it's still available or not, but if it is, I highly recommend that you get it and that you not drop it like I just did. In fact, I'm going to put this back together in a minute when I can kind of set it down. But that was my second pickup. So then I got some Christmas money from my father-in-law, which was such a blessing. He came, my wife had surgery, and he came to help out for a week and spent time with us. And he left us with some Christmas money, which was really generous of him. And so I picked up 4 albums off of his money. So one of them was Evanescence Fallen. I am a big fan of this album. I definitely was a fan when it came out. It's got this like smoky pressing. In fact, it calls it a clear smoke vinyl. But I definitely love this album. Loved it when it came out. Amy Lee's voice is beautiful. And if you were alive when this album came out, then you heard it all the time. I'm so glad to have it. Now, one I'd been looking for a long time, and at the time when I first started looking for this, Walmart was one of the few places that carried it. One of the places I've been looking for, albums I've been looking for a long time, was this album, Stone Temple Pilots Core. Um, Back in the day when this album came out, I really was into about 4 or 5 grunge albums. That's about as much as I listened to. I was listening to things like Aerosmith, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Guns N' Roses, but I was also, when grunge came out, listening to Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots. So I've already got Nirvana, Nevermind. I've already got Pearl Jam 10. This is another one that I absolutely had to have. Pearl Jam, or excuse me, Stone Temple Pilots Core. It's also a beautiful pressing. It's this red and black splatter. It calls it red splatter vinyl. There's a Walmart exclusive pressing. So I was very happy to get that as well. And then I also got, this is an album. So, okay, I'm going to back up for a second here and say that, like, growing up as like someone who was super passionate about music, by the time I got to junior high and high school, I was really into like punk, hardcore, emo, that kind of stuff. And I really, like, when people would talk about like the bands that were really big, I would that were not in those genres, I feel like I would be very much like, oh gosh, like, you know, I don't need all this pop nonsense, this pop garbage. Um, and so I found that sometimes when an artist gets really big really quick, I'm not interested. I don't want to know anything about them. And I'm trying to change that. I don't want to be a music snob. I want to be open to all good music. So there's three artists that definitely fit that category for me where I haven't really listened to any of their music and they're huge. And so I'm like, okay, I want to know what I'm missing out on with these artists. So two of them are going to be represented here. One of them is Olivia Rodrigo. So I listened to Olivia Rodrigo and I really actually enjoyed her music quite a bit. So I picked up Sour on this birthday money or Christmas money as well. Again, this is a Walmart exclusive pressing. It's very bright pink. If you can tell how bright that is. It's called Magenta Transparent Vinyl. But so this is Sour, really great album. I did hear the song Driver's License when it came out and I liked it, but I still was sort of like, I don't want to know. And I regret that. So picked up Sour. The next one that I picked up, and the last one I picked up on this Christmas money from my father-in-law, is Pearl Jam Versus. So Pearl Jam 10 and Pearl Jam Versus were the two albums that I really listened to the most by Pearl Jam back in the day. I already had 10, so I'm glad to add Versus. Now, this is it's a 45 RPM half speed um, pressing, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the album. And I love this album. Really great album. Super glad to listen to it. Got this at Walmart too. So all four of those I got at Walmart. So I had pre-ordered the next album quite some time before. And there's sort of a story with this album, which is that, so this is the Diary of Alicia Keys. It just got repressed. This is the Urban Outfitters pressing, which is on this sort of piano cream, and then the other one, or ivory, and then the other one, the other album, it's a double LP. Same thing. But I had ordered this forever ago from Amazon, not this exact version, but the album I had ordered from Amazon, and I received the Diary of Alicia Keys. I ordered it twice, and it came in warped twice from Amazon. This is years ago. I loved this album when it came out. I owned this album a long time ago on CD. So I sort of gave up. In fact, Amazon wouldn't let me order it again. I sort of gave up on it. And so when I saw that there was a new pressing, I was like, this is finally my chance to get this album. Plus, my daughter's been really loving Alicia Keys lately, so it's nice to be able to have some Alicia Keys to play for her. So this one also came with this 7-inch, which has Streets of New York. So there's Streets of New York featuring Nas and Rakim, and then on the back of it, it is the instrumental version of the Streets of New York. And this is just on black vinyl, sorry, but this, so we've got this 7-inch included with the double LP. So it's always a challenge to try and put stuff back when um, you're filming yourself. But so Alicia Keys, Diary of Alicia Keys, very, very happy to have this in the collection. It's such a beautiful album. Alicia Keys is one of those that, like, I would love to have her whole discography on vinyl, and I am definitely not there yet. It's definitely something I'm going to have to work on. But anyway, I can't put things back today. This is one of the reasons I don't take everything out when I do my things, but there we have it. Okay. So then this one was sort of a whim, but when I bought Mondo's Home Alone soundtrack, I decided I had to have Robin Hood Men in Tights. Just kidding, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. It would be cool to have Robin Hood Men in Tights also, though. Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. This album, this movie, first of all, I watched so many times. So it's on a green and brown split for Mondo. I listened to this album so many times growing up. It is not only did I love the movie, I loved the soundtrack, but then Bryan Adams' song "Everything I Do It For You." I have specific memories linked to that song, so I was really pleased to be able to get this on vinyl. So had to pick that up. So then we come to, sorry, picking up this thing here before damage is done. Set it over here. Ugh. All right, that was smooth. Then we come to the second of those three artists that I mentioned that I hadn't really listened to, and I decided that I was ready to kind of take the plunge and give them a listen and see what I was missing out on. And again, I knew some tracks. I knew that I liked those tracks. I didn't know why I wasn't really diving further into the artists, so I decided to. So on this particular day, I got a gift card from my work. It was a Christmas gift from my work for Target. And I was taking a half day to take my wife to a follow-up appointment following her surgery. And so we decided to stop on the way back and just pick up through the the car pickup at Target this album. So I ordered it online, picked it up at the car. So this is Billie Eilish, "Happier Than Ever." I really like her music, and I watched the documentary about this on Disney Plus, which I really enjoyed. It's pressed on this like really sort of light blue, very light blue vinyl. It calls it a light blue vinyl. You know, some of these have unique names. The two that I've been like, what does it call it? It's been exactly what I'm saying. This one also came with like a little poster, but I picked up Happier Than Ever. Beautiful album. Really glad I picked it up. So I've mentioned a couple times my wife had surgery, and it's surgery that requires like sort of an extensive recovery. And so that has meant that for quite a period here, I've been pulling double duty, doing kind of all the mom duties, all the dad duties, also trying to be like my wife's caregiver when she needed that, which she's, luckily we're not in that place anymore. She's able to do most things now. And then also just dealing with my kids and the holidays. It was a lot of stress. And I finally one day reached a point where I was like, I need a break. I need to get out of here for a few minutes. I need to go do something that's focused on me, which sounds sort of selfish, but it's also really necessary. We have to take care of ourselves too. And so I've got my mom to come over to kind of take my place for a half hour, and I escaped and I went straight to my happy place, which was a record store. So I went to St. Marie Records in Fort Worth, and I kind of just walked their shelves and looked to see what I wanted to buy, and I picked up Elliott Smith New Moon. So this album came out posthumously. It says recorded between 1994 and 1997. The 24 songs on New Moon capture Smith on the crest of a creative wave. While often understood and sparse, these songs did and their accompanying liner notes present a version of Smith that is inherently hopeful and brimming with the possibility of burgeoning success. Now, what I know about this album is that this album came out while I was working at Starbucks, and we sold this album, and I bought this album on CD, and I loved it. It was actually sort of my introduction to Elliott Smith. I'd heard a few songs here and there, and this album has some versions of songs that were previous, had released on other albums as well. And being someone who loved Good Will Hunting, Miss Misery is definitely a song I knew. But I love this album, and it's kind of crazy that it's my first Elliott Smith album on vinyl, but I'm glad it is in a way because I have such a personal relationship with this album, and so I was really pleased to find this at St. Marie Records, which I really encourage you guys, if you live in the area, go check out St. Marie Records. It's a great place. So then I got another gift card from a couple of the students at my school and their parents, whom I'm friends with, and I work with their mother. So it was really unnecessary but generous and kind. It was another gift card for Target, and so I picked up Nirvana Unplugged in New York, which is an album that I've been eyeing for literally years, thinking about buying. And so I was so pleased, first of all, that it still existed in a store where I could get it easily and where I could use a Target gift card, which is what I had, but also that I was able to add it to my collection. This is on opaque vinyl, excuse me, specifically opaque purple vinyl. Let's see if I can make get it. So opaque purple vinyl. It's a really pretty shade of purple that you don't necessarily see all the time. So really enjoy that. So the next one was a little bit of a impulse buy, but I saw it and I debated it for days and days and days, and finally I was like, I gotta do it. And that was the Muppet Christmas Carol soundtrack, and this one is from I Am 8-Bit, which is a company I'd never really heard of before. It's on red vinyl. There is another version that's on this beautiful like ghostly blue, which I would have preferred, but it was sold out. I love the Muppet Christmas Carol. There's a song in the Muppet Christmas Carol. So this is trivia if you didn't know, and I think a lot of people do know. But there's a song called "When Love Is Gone," and this scene where Ebenezer Scrooge's girlfriend like leaves him. That whole scene was like cut from the movie for a while, and then returned. And the song is on the soundtrack, and I'm so glad because it's so beautiful and so emotionally painful. Which is what I want in the holidays. But this is a great album, and I'm so glad to have it. It's the best version of A Christmas Carol ever released, no matter what anyone else says. So, okay, the next one is one I ordered from NTX Vinyl. I've talked about NTX Vinyl a bunch of times. So NTX Vinyl is three different stores inside of Painted Tree Marketplaces, and the closest one to me is in North Richland Hills. And so they have, it's like a little booth, and they have some record racks and some new releases up on the wall. It's not huge, but again, there are three different locations, and they also have an online store. The guy who runs it is fantastic. His name's G.I. Sanders. Really great guy, and I think he does a really good job curating his collection, especially for the size of those locations. There's always stuff I want to buy there. I decided I wanted to pick up this album, so I actually just went down to the store. He posted on some of the groups, like the Now Spinning group and the NTX Vinyl group, pictures of his stores and said that this was some of the new albums that were available. And I was like, is this in the North Richland Hills store? And I didn't get a response, which normally I do. And so the next day I was like, I'm just going to go check it out. And I went down there, and sure enough, they had it, so I picked it up. So this is Willie Nelson. Um, Long story short, Willie Nelson 90 live at the Hollywood Bowl. So this is Willie Nelson's 90th birthday. It does say volume 1, and I really hope they come out with a second volume, because if you look at the digital version of this album, there's more than twice as many songs, and there's artists that aren't on here that are really good. But this is so good, you guys. It's got Billy Strings, Charlie Crockett, Allison Russell and Norah Jones, Particle Kid, and Daniel Lanois, Margot Price and Waylon Payne, the Avett Brothers, the Lumineers, Tyler Childers and the Food Stamps, Leon Bridges and Gary Clark Jr., Tom Jones, Miranda Lambert, Lyle Lovett, Beck, Dave Matthews, Lucas Nelson, Nathaniel Ratcliffe, Chris Stapleton. So those are all like doing like songs that Willie's done. Some of them are Willie's originals, or some of them are covers that Willie's well known for doing. And then there are also 4 songs at the end that are duets with Willie Nelson. So Willie Nelson and Sheryl Crow, Willie Nelson and George Strait, Willie Nelson and Keith Richards. And there's an all sing where everybody sings to him. Now there's some that are not on here that I'm so eager to get on vinyl, like he does a duet of Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die with Snoop Dogg. So there's just a lot of fun stuff that didn't make it on here that I can't wait to see on a volume 2. Jack Johnson is another one. I love Jack Johnson. but I'm so glad to have this. It was really good, and grateful to get it at NTX Vinyl. Um, really one of my favorite places to go for vinyl. Between NTX and St. Marie, those are the places that I've been shopping locally for records, and I've been so pleased. So this next one is one that like I ordered okay, I talked about I went to Black Friday, um, our record store day. I really enjoyed it, but there was one album I wish I would have known about and before I went. I found out about it more after I went, and I read the list. I just missed it, but I decided I really wanted it, and I ordered it off of Discogs, and that is My Morning Jacket, Happy Holidays, um, and this is it's called a uh, snow and ice colored vinyl. So it's this beautiful like splatter that's like a white and transparent splatter with some gray in there. I really like it, and it almost looks like there's little snowflakes in it. Just a beautiful pressing. So pleased to have that. So the next one is a 7-inch that I pre-ordered as soon as I found out about it, and that is Norah Jones and LaVey. This is a 7-inch record, just basically a single. On one side, it's got Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. On the other side, it's got Better Than Snow. I really love both of those songs. I really love both of those artists. Now, there are 3 different versions of this 7-inch. There's a black version and there's a red version, both available through uh, Blue Note Records. But there's also like a Spotify exclusive, um, and that one is the one that I went with, which is this sort of green splatter. So really pleased to get that one. Um, and yeah, so a little 7-inch. Now, this next record's actually not mine, it's my wife's. It's a gift I gave her for Christmas, but obviously it's our collection. So we were scheduled to go to a concert at the local like symphony hall, music hall. Um, we bought the tickets months in advance, and then my wife's surgery got scheduled, and we knew we were going to have to miss it because she would be in recovery. We were going to go see Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith doing Christmas songs, artists that we both grew up with. Me more Michael W. Smith, her more Amy Grant, and she really loved Amy Grant. And so when we couldn't make it to the show, I ordered her for Christmas an Amy Grant album on vinyl. It's just black vinyl, but it's Amy Grant Heart in Motion. And then we put this on Christmas Day, and I was like, oh man, there are so many songs that I love that are on here that I just didn't really realize were on this album. It's a great, great album. So highly recommend Amy Grant, Heart in Motion. And this is bringing us to the last 2, which are both albums by artists I've already shown in this. I told you I wanted to get to know Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo more, and I fell in love with their music, and so I picked up a couple of each of their albums. By the way, the third artist that I really need to explore that obviously gets a lot of love in the vinyl community is Lana Del Rey. I don't know any of her music, and I need to check her out. So, but I ordered, or actually, this one. So my wife ordered some albums for me for Christmas, and they were not going to be here in time. They were going to be here in like January sometime. It's a couple of Ryan Adams albums. She didn't want me to open nothing on Christmas, so she picked me up another album, which is Billie Eilish. This album is called "When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?" So this is her debut full length. This is a yellow pressing. I don't know if it calls it anything else. It doesn't on here, but it's sort of a yellow pressing that's pretty, kind of a pretty color of yellow. And this album obviously has Bad Guys. It has You Should See Me in a Crown. Really great album. Very glad to have it as part of the collection. And then I decided that I definitely wanted to pick up Olivia Rodrigo's other album since I already had Sour. She only has one other album, which is Guts. Um, as far as full lengths, there's obviously like her record store day release and all that. But so I went over to Target and I picked up Olivia Rodrigo's Guts. This is a magenta vinyl. It's got the alternate cover. It's got a poster inside. This one has Vampire on it. I've really been enjoying her music. I love the Chucks. I'm a big Chuck Taylor fan. So yeah, so that's 18 albums for the month of December, which is a lot. I've got some albums still on pre-order, and obviously I pick up some albums pretty much every month, but it's definitely time to scale back a little bit for some other goals. Speaking of other goals, other priorities, there are some exciting changes coming to this channel soon, to be able to include a lot more things that I'm interested in and to be more consistent with posting and talking about those things. I am going to have a video sometime in the near future talking about that. But in the meantime, I wanted to come on here and do my December haul. And so I hope you guys found some vinyl albums that you love during the month of December. And I want to hear about them. Let me know.